Greetings, adventurers! Buckle up because we're taking a wild ride through the twisted corridors of gaming history. We're diving deep into the treasure trove of forgotten gems, uncovering the bizarre, the quirky, and the downright strange games that time left behind. The current entry belongs in our adventure archive. Today's game is...
Yeah, that's it. I remember now. It all makes sense. I remember the tragic day Azimuth was taken away by the men of the Bigwig, the same brute who ruthlessly shot my teddy bear later. Ah, the cruel monster. I'll have to find my daddy Azimuth and his Schnibble.
The Bizarre Adventures of Woodruff and the Schnibble of Azimuth. This special piece of software from 1994 sure lives up to its title. Woodruff is a French adventure game developed by Coktel Vision. The creator of the Goblin series, Pierre Gilhodes, worked on the game, and Woodruff shares that series' visual style, gameplay, and offbeat humor. It's not officially part of the Goblin series, but trust me, it feels like it could be a long-lost cousin. Woodruff and the Schnibble of Azimuth hit the shelves in April 1995. It made its way to North America thanks to Sierra Online, a name synonymous with classic adventure games. But let's be real, this isn't your typical point-and-click adventure. We're venturing into the post-apocalyptic world of Lostalgia. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. This little gem amps up the craziness, unleashing a memorable adventure with a penchant for odd-sounding syllables. After Earth was nearly wiped out by atomic war, the surviving humans fled underground to escape the radiation. Centuries passed, and when they finally emerged, they found a world overgrown with jungle and populated by mutants, including the Boozuk, a peaceful race with long noses and tails. In the societal structure of the Boozuk, there was a king and a council of wise men, 7 mystics who had successfully maintained universal harmony by guarding the Chbrotsnog, a sacred containment unit used to channel and subsequently trap evil spirits. But humans being humans, they couldn't just live in peace. They waged war against the Boozuks. In a mere day, the humans destroyed the Boozuk civilization, massacring many innocent civilians. The surviving Boozuks were enslaved and forced to construct a new society for the humans, the great vertical city of Lostalgia, an economically self-sufficient city run on wind power and surrounded by rich farmland. This city is as vertically divided as it gets. The richer you are, the higher up you live, while the poor are stuck at the bottom. The Boozuks, once proud, are now oppressed and broken, their king reduced to a beer-guzzling couch potato. The world might sound grim, but the game's filled with so much zany humor and slapstick gags that it's hard not to chuckle even when the story takes a darker turn. Enter Woodruff, our spiky-haired hero, who starts the game as an innocent infant playing with his teddy bear. But things take a drastic turn when the evil bigwig, the game's mustache-twirling villain, kidnaps Woodruff's adoptive father, Professor Azimuth, an eminent political and scientific human personality known for his work on manipulating the aging process of cells, sympathizes with the plight of the Boozuks. The professor was working on a secret project to free the Boozuks and unlock the power of the Schnibble, a legendary force of peace and prosperity. Before the bigwig bursts in, the professor slaps a Weibelfratzer on Woodruff, a gadget that instantly ages him by 15 years. Suddenly, our baby hero is a full-fledged teenager, minus the shoes and reading skills, ready to take on an epic quest. What's Woodruff's mission, you ask? Simple. Save his dad, avenge his teddy bear, and unravel the mystery of the Schnibble to restore harmony to the city. And if that wasn't enough, he's got to navigate a world filled with eccentric characters, moon logic puzzles, and enough off-the-wall humor to make your head spin. From the moment it begins, players find themselves just as disoriented as Woodruff, even as the mysteries of his world slowly unravel and his objectives become clearer. The unexpected and bizarre are constants. Woodruff's journey involves reuniting 7 Boozuk wise men, escaping an asylum, confronting a destructive beast, and uncovering the truth about the Schnibble. Along the way, he faces obstacles like giant pixels, mutant bullies, and tax collectors leaping out of trash cans. The vertical city where the game takes place is vast, requiring a lot of walking. Many areas are initially inaccessible, requiring puzzles to be solved to reach them. For a game that likes to use the last 3 letters of the alphabet more than any other, it comes as no surprise that moon logic is used heavily in the puzzles. This ramps up the difficulty at times, but it doesn't really bother me here. The game's own logic is so off-kilter that they actually make sense within the context of the story. For example, you'll have no problem using a plastic finger and a giant nose to unlock the door to an illegal arm wrestling match in order to enter a rather tame red light district. It all makes sense in a way. One thing's for sure, this game doesn't shy away from its cartoonish roots. Every screen is bursting with details and animations straight out of a Tex Avery short. Woodruff's world is a living, breathing cartoon filled with perverted lovebirds, easily scared musclemen, and plenty of fourth wall-breaking gags. A gag that many players particularly remember is when Woodruff learns that his beloved Coktel supposedly has an affair with the villain Bigwig. Woodruff then depressively collapses onto a bench and refuses to follow the player's commands any further.
Why keep on living anymore?
The animations are so rich that sometimes the game zooms in to give you a closer look, offering up mini-skits that are as hilarious as they are bizarre. For example, early on, the animator pops up to let us know he had no idea what a Tobazon is, so just didn't draw it. In case you're wondering, it's basically a video phone. But don't let the wackiness fool you. Woodruff is a deceptively deep game. The sudden aging of our hero brings an unexpected layer of melancholy to the story. Woodruff might be grown up on the outside, but inside, he's still a kid. This gives his character a bittersweet edge as he navigates a world that's both new and frightening to him. It's a subtle but powerful touch that adds depth to the otherwise madcap adventure. Woodruff's relatively simple point-and-click interface is nearly identical to the one featured in Sierra's King's Quest VII. By moving the cursor over certain objects, they'll become highlighted, indicating that it's an item or person Woodruff can interact with. Pierre Gilhodes is the creative force behind Woodruff. He is a French artist best known for the Goblins games, which were unmistakably the roots from which Woodruff emerged. Gilhodes has his own YouTube channel called Woodruff Cosmic Cartoon, where he posts all sorts of crazy animations. He even announced Goblins 5 there. In an interview with Bitmap Books, Gilhodes spoke about Woodruff.
We wanted to make a richer, less linear game. We had a whole world to invent. Woodruff was a child in an adult body. He discovered the city at the same time as the player. This game had marked effect on players for its delirium and all the problems we deal with in it. I hear about it even more often than the Goblin series. I even have a fan who got a Schnibble tattoo on her foot. I invented for this game the Boozuk race, of which Winkle in Goblins 2 was a precursor. I am very attached to these creatures.
He really hopes that Woodruff, a lanky Klansman dressed as a punk, is a worthy son of the Goblins. Despite a less than heralded release in America, Woodruff was released to primarily positive reviews, with most praise being given to its visual style and sense of humor. Strategy Plus, now Computer Games Magazine, gave it its most notable review, claiming it was so addictive you may lose your job, which ended up being printed on the box's front cover and used in most of its advertisements. Of the negative aspects of the game, Gamers Zone, although having given it a positive review, complained about the often ludicrously hard puzzles, the lack of original music, and the repetitive background sound effects, complaints that were often echoed in other reviews. Despite critical acclaim, however, Woodruff failed to find a mass audience and turned out to be a financial disappointment for Sierra, eventually slipping into obscurity behind most of the company's better-known titles. Although Woodruff has been more or less largely forgotten within the adventure game genre, so little information is there that the game's English voice actors have never been identified. There still remains a small, yet devoted cult fan base. It is perhaps one of the weirdest games I've ever played, and I loved every bizarre moment. One thing's for sure, there's not another one even remotely like Woodruff and the Schnibble of Azimuth. Have you played Woodruff? What do you think of it? Would a game like that work today? Let us know in the comments below.